ADHD Babes, the podcast, a podcast hosted by the ADHD Babes community for the community. Please note, nothing mentioned during the podcast is meant as a diagnosis. If you believe you have ADHD, please seek professional advice and visit or join ADHDbabes.com for help with diagnosis. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. And now, you're listening to the next episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Thank you to everyone who's joined us by listening so far, and don't forget to follow so you never miss an episode, and also rate, review and share so that others can find us too. Today's episode is hosted by me, Fallon, and
me, Anna, and today we're going to be discussing ADHD and pets. Joining in on the discussion, we're joined by our guest, ADHD babe, Niquelle. Hi.
Hello.
so, you're no stranger to the podcast, but just so that our listeners can get to know you a little bit better, would you like to tell us, do you have a pet? And if so, please tell us more. What is your pet?
Yeah, I have a cat. Well, technically I have two cats, but yeah, I have one very pregnant cat and another cat, which was the previous batch baby that is now a big cat.
My goodness.
Wow.
We've already asked the big question. Let's go on to where you diagnosed with ADHD at the time when you got your pet.
No, I wasn't diagnosed actually when we had cats. I've always had cats now that I think about it because of how low maintenance they are. And obviously
They are.
living in London and living in a city, it's kind of cruel to have other pets that you can't kind of maintain all the time. So I've always had quite low maintenance pets if I ever had them, like fish and birds and rabbits and cats that like you feed them a couple times and then they're fine for the, but
Yeah.
it's been the constant for ages for sure. Yeah, but I didn't know I had ADHD until October 2024. So it's interesting actually looking at the pattern because I actually think there's some correlation in the ADHD I present and my parents who are undiagnosed. So maybe they also had some rationale in their maintenance upkeep there.
Absolutely. Like my parents grew up with a lot of pets in their household. And my parents are originally from Colombia, so they grew up in a rural place. So they could have dogs, cats, parrots, anything. Like they just had loads and loads of pets. But when my mum and dad got married, they decided not to have any because they moved to like the city and it was difficult for them to have pets and children at the same time, I guess. So we were never allowed to have any pets, which is really difficult for us. It was me and my siblings, two brothers. And when I had my own family, I was like, oh my God, I really want to have a pet. Like even though I had 3 children already, I felt like I needed an extra, like an animal around me. And that's when I got my first dog. Her name was Ebony. Beautiful one. Trying to remember what her breed was. She was because she was a crossbreed. She was huge at the time. And it was quite overwhelming actually, because I didn't really know how much work goes into having a pet.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they're like babies, when you get them as babies, you have to teach them, where to go to the loo, and they're so clingy and they have so much attention that you just have to give them so much attention.
Yeah.
And in a way, they don't grow out of it because, like with a child, they learn to look after themselves. They grow into like a proper human being. But with dogs, like they rely on you, or pets, dogs, cats, whatever. They rely on you for the rest of their lives to look after them.
Yeah. No, it's true. So Niquelle, before getting a pet, what did you expect pet ownership to be like, and what surprised you the most when you actually had one?
Good question. I think you see the novelty usually of the animal when you're like visiting somebody else or you see someone else with a pet. So I think cats especially, there's always been this dual superstitious thing that in my family, I'm from the Caribbean, I'm from Dominica, and like there's loads of superstitions around cats in terms of them sensing energies, them being quite sensitive in terms of like vibe and good people around you. And so that side, there was always like quite a spiritual link to cats for us. There's also the like novelty of like cats just being quite present in elders' homes. It wasn't really a
Yeah.
young person pet, actually, when you
No.
think about it. Cats were then tended to be definitely a thing that the over 50s had. And I'm not saying 50s old, but like it was a relatively older person's thing. And you'd go and visit like a grandma or a older auntie or uncle. And it was more female too. And tended to have cats, which is ironic because my dad's the cat guy right now. But like, I think there was also this like learned sense of it being quite a wise companion in a way that like dogs for us were kind of either guards or street animals sometimes, because there's a lot of stray dogs in the Caribbean sometimes, or they were kind of there was quite a racialized underpinning of dogs as well in terms of where you'd keep them. Where for us, like a dog wouldn't come in your room and come in your living room and in your house most of the time. So there was like a lot of those separations of like what the animal was. But mainly a cat was like the wise guide and overseer in the house, and like you play with it, but you don't need to really trouble it. It kind of does its own thing. You feed it, you clean it, and then it's just a companion if you need it. And I feel like that's kind of how it stayed in relationship until you then have kittens, and that's kind of changed because you then have to do all the like litter and feeding them and all of that side. But yeah, until I had a cat of my own, it was definitely the wise spiritual sensing thing that you kind of stayed at a distance with. When it was ready, it came to you. You didn't kind of go to it. And then you kind of built a relationship with that person. And when that person had kind of welcomed you, then the cat would come. That was kind of my early introduction to a cat, for sure.
That's interesting. You know, I can relate, but more on the aspect of a dog. So, like you said, that whole novelty of when you go visit somebody and they've got their pet, and you're like, oh my god, it's so cute. That was me, but with dogs. So growing up, I always wanted to have a pet dog, but you know, living in my house, my mum was like, not under my roof. Maybe
Yeah.
when you leave. So that's what happened. So when I moved out, got a dog, and I just had that novelty in my head, like it's gonna be so cute. And I don't know, like pet owners that I see out and about before having one, it looked so easy and simple. Like all you gotta do is walk the thing. Till I got one, I was like, oh, what did I sign up for? This
Yeah.
is a lot. And it's like, you're already in it now, so what can you do? And it is literally like having a baby 24/7. Like you were saying,
Yes.
Anna, they don't grow out of it. So it's like
No.
24/7, you have a
No.
baby. And they're so clingy, they
Absolutely.
follow you everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
They're so, and especially dogs, like dogs, they need
Yeah.
your attention. They seek that emotional
hmm
connection. They need to feel the love. They need to feel the connection. They need to feel like you're looking after them. They need to be
Yeah.
the center of your world. Like, oh my goodness.
Literally.
And I've got a dog and a cat,
hmm
and I got the cat first, to be
Yeah.
honest. Well, currently, because I've had 3 pets throughout my life, but currently I've got Coco, which is my cat, and I have Milo, which is the dog.
Mm.
And Milo is a Japanese Akita who's huge, absolutely huge, very territorial. He thinks he's a cat himself, which is like really. And then Coco is very much like he wants to do his own thing. He just wants to be fed. Don't pet me. Do not touch me. Stay away from me. We say that he's a gangster because he's out all of the time. And before, when he was younger, he used to come back with like bruises and stuff all over him. And it was just like, oh my God, you've been in fights. Like, you
My
know,
gosh.
yeah, so mine is definitely an outside cat, and we love it because he does his business somewhere else. We don't have to look after a litter or nothing like that. It's just super easy. And with Milo, so my mum and I are looking after him together. So he stays with my mum sometimes, and he stays with me sometimes. At the moment, he's with my mum, so Coco's like in paradise because
No.
Milo's not here. Although they do get on with each other, it's really weird. They will lay to sleep in the same places together. But it took a while to get used to them. But yeah,
Mm.
just looking after like the differences between dogs and cats is huge. Like, because with my cat, for example, my cat personally, like I said, he's his own person and he wants to do his own thing. But I know other pet owners who have cats that are so like clingy. You know, they get into their owners' beds, and if the owners leave, they get so depressed and they're sad. And it's like, I think they all have their own personalities. That's what I feel.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's very interesting. It is.
Absolutely. I'm telling you. I know ADHD affects routine, affects memory, it affects emotional regulation. What I wanted to ask is, in what ways has having a pet helped your ADHD? So like emotionally, mentally, or practically, how has that having your cat, how has that helped? Nick?
It's actually, well, two things. I think one, it's a closeness to an animal that is also hyper independent. I'm a hyper independent person, and there's
Yeah.
like a shared parallel in what I see. So my cat's name's Yoshi, number one. And
No.
we let my little sister Shannon name her because she's like the cat keeper of every cat that we have. So when the
Yeah.
kittens come, Shannon is like baby minding them, all of that. And she literally will still pick up Yoshi. Yoshi's probably like a ruler and a half long. She's a big
Oh
long
my
hair
goodness.
cat,
Beautiful.
brown, black, and ginger patches, really long hair. So she's like a big one. But she's super independent in the way that she kind of navigates and goes about her business. And most of the day, she'll, like, from once it gets dark, she comes inside. She's in the house. And very rarely will she use the litter that's indoors. But she loves my dad. Like, I've recently moved back home, and seeing her relationship with my dad is really interesting. Like, she proper will like wait outside his door and won't go downstairs, won't even pee, won't eat, won't anything until he wakes up, because he wakes up super early to go to work. And she then goes downstairs with him. She waits for the food, but then she has these little routines where we like let her out into the garden because there's quite a few cats in the area, and like she'll walk along the window ledge
Yeah.
and like literally put her head in the window, like, you can see me, hello, let me in, it's free time. And like there's a part for her to eat outside if she wants to stay outside. But then equally, she then sometimes just goes about her business, and we're like, where is she? Like, and she won't come back.
Yeah.
But when she's gone for like hours on end, she's gonna come back pregnant. And wow. Yeah. And like, but then those routines, it's really helped me in terms of my ADHD to like see a varying pattern. Like cats are quite fixed in their own patterns, which I think is quite similar actually to ADHD.
Yeah.
And their cycles are not necessarily logical to like the day. They eat when they need their eating. They sleep when they need their sleeping. They take midday naps. And I have learned so much from cats about like resting when you need to rest. And they will take rest whenever they need it. And there's something quite also therapeutic about a cat's purr. The sound,
Yeah.
and they're like, if they're near you or on you, they vibrate when they purr. So there's
Yeah, they
this
do.
weird, warm, like noise that's a constant, and it sounds. Someone was saying that there's a similarity to like that low vibrational sound where like babies hear like heartbeats and all of that. That cats do that quite a lot. It's a soothing thing that they do. And I learned recently, my cat used to sometimes like do this like on a body part, but they're like on your lap, but they'll like press on you. And I learned it's called padding, and they actually can sense where there's tension in your body,
Oh my gosh.
and they'll press on
I
it.
love that.
And
Oh.
feel you've relaxed, they stop and then they just lean on the area. And that, like, I can't do that so much, but I never knew that was like why they were doing it. But essentially, anywhere that they're finding comfort, if they feel there's like tension or a hard block that isn't where they're comfortable to nest on or lay on, they will literally like knead it out until and that includes on your body. And I think there's something quite beautiful about having an animal that can sense when you're tense and sense when you're not okay, or sense when you're slightly dysregulated. And they really are quite sensitive animals.
Yeah.
When you're upset, your cat will be at your door.
Yeah.
And you'll hear them scratching or whatever. And my cat has no problem like scratching the door all day until you open it, kind of cat.
Yeah.
Like even now, like my cat is underneath my bed and it ran in here because it knows it's just me and her. And she usually is 2 stories down, but she is not coming out. And I have tried to take her out. I coaxed her out with some food. No, she wants to be with me, but that's because she's now in mother mode and she's cooking babies.
Aw.
So she becomes extremely affectionate when she's kind of in a nurturing mode, which is very similar to us when we're in like menstruation mode. We really want to just be near and warm, and yeah. So I think it's definitely helped me in terms of finding a rhythm in an unlogical rhythm, and then finding ways to kind of relax and relieve tension and just rest, for sure.
Absolutely. That's amazing. One thing about Coco is that and I learned this because we had my cousin and my auntie passed away 3 years ago. And when this was like 3 days before my auntie passing away, he came upstairs. He normally stays, our house is a two floors, and he went up to our bedrooms. He never does that. And he was he slept right next to my bed, right next to me. And I was like, what's going on? Like, you're normally not this affectionate. Like, you just want to be left alone most of the time. And then like 3 days after, so he did his 3 days consecutively. And then when my auntie passed away, I realized, oh my goodness, this is the reason why. And then my husband and I, this is why, because we also like, we're from Colombia, and in Latin America, we also have a lot of beliefs about negative energy and pets and how they absorb all the negative energy when you have them at home. And they can also like perceive things when they're going to happen, like when there's going to be an earthquake or like any tragedy. That's what we believe, like the pets are going to protect us from. And my husband was like, oh my goodness, like he knew, like he sensed that. And then like 2 years later, my cousin died as well. And he was like, it was really weird because like he came upstairs as well and he was next to my door. And then now by this time I'm like, oh God, someone's gonna die. Like it was a warning, like, prepare yourself. This is, something's happening. And yeah, that happened. So and then just learning all the things, like everything you just said is kind of new to me, and now it kind of makes sense when I think about all my cats' behaviors and my dog's behaviors as well. Like, oh, okay, so that's why they were doing this and why they were doing that. Sometimes we don't think about the psychology of things or the things behind it. We have a pet because we have a need of having that extra thing or that extra, having that part of humanity, extend that tenderness to an animal. And I feel it's good as well. It teaches my kids responsibility too, because now they know that they need to, feed, walk the dog, or they need to feed the cat. He doesn't really like dry food. He absolutely loves wet food. So when you give him dry food, he just looks at you like, what are you doing? And walks away. And then you try to like, you Coco, this is what you're having today. You have to have a varied like diet. You can't just have like similar foods all the time. He's not having it. So yeah, it's super, super, super interesting what you shared about the connection that we can have with our pets, specifically when we have ADHD.
Do you know what, Anna? It's so funny that you say that, because I made the mistake of so my dog's called Mooney. She's a little Frenchie. Madame, proper madame. I made the mistake of giving her actual cooked food. So now she don't want to eat dry food. She don't want to eat wet food. It has to be a cooked meal. Like, I'll literally give her dog food and she'll look at it and look at me like, are you joking? She won't eat it. Now I'm just like, oh my gosh. But it's helped me a lot in terms of having a routine, because part of the reason why I wanted a pet as well was to actually have a better routine. So having to wake up and actually walk the dog and get myself out and stuff like that. Only problem is this dog is lazy. She sleeps more than I sleep. So I'm like, hey, well, that's defeating that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's good. It's really nice. And like you was both saying about having a pet that can sense your emotions and when you're dysregulated, and actually just being there to soothe you and comfort you, it's quite nice actually. So yeah.
Oh,
So funny you say that about like unconventional dogs. I remember I was talking to Jules and she was talking about her dog. Should we bring her in?
Yes.
I was waiting for the right time to come in, but I was just like, no, this conversation is going really, really well. Hi, everyone. And I didn't want to kind of like step in or anything. I was just kind of just like listening. Yeah. So yeah, my dog is basically a mixed breed. So she's a Maltese and a Yorkshire Terrier, but she's a toy version. So she's 6 years old and she's fully grown into her size. So she's very, very small. And how she is kind of like similar to you, Fallon. Her name's Daisy. And I made the mistake of giving her cooked food at first. And she sometimes looks at me like to say, when I'm eating my dinner, like, am I going to get some of that? And I'm like, no, ma'am, you are not getting some of this. But how she's helped me with my ADHD, because when I first got her, I was so hyper-focused in the sense that I wanted a dog. I got so obsessed that I was researching on the best available breed that I know would fit the lifestyle I had, where it wasn't too tedious, because I know there's with certain dog breeds that you have to be mindful that they might need to be walked 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
And I knew that that was just not, that's not in my ministry. So I was like, a dog that I can have in an apartment, in a flat, can take outside if I need to, but she's very low maintenance, and she has been that. However, when it comes to certain structures, I think the only thing that my dog has allowed me to be really structured with is knowing that I have to feed her. I can't leave her to starve, because then it will be wicked and bad. Even though I might have like a really sad day, or I have one of my down days, I'm knowing that my dog is staring at me like, girl, I'm hungry. When are you going to feed me? Or she does this thing where she stamps her paws and she's looking at me like, can you see me? Hello, sort of vibe. So in that sense, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to feed the dog. So I have to get out of bed, even though I might not feed myself. But I think the one thing that I know that I routinely do for her is making sure she's fed, at least giving her a treat, doing some enrichment sort of activity, which is quite small. So having stuff where she can kind of sniff and, pick up on stuff. But then also knowing with me, because I know that the walking thing I'm not really good at it, because I get overwhelmed by the attention she gets. So walking her becomes a little bit too stressful for me. So I have a dog walker. So the dog walker walks her at least 2 days a week. So that still allows for her to kind of just like interact with dogs and also get like her daily walking in, because I know that I can't always provide that all the time. So outside of even how she's helped me with my ADHD and how I've been able to kind of like create routines, I know there's certain routines that I can't keep on top of. So I've made sure that I still have some things for her in place when I know that I can't do the necessary thing as a dog owner. So I'm not neglecting her in any way. And I think sometimes when people see, like I can't speak for everyone else, but when people think about ADHD people, they're just like, oh, well, how can you maintain kind of looking after a pet? Yeah, it's not hard. It's not easy, but at the same time, I think as an owner, I know that she's basically my baby, so I can't, I can't neglect her. Even like if my family has a running joke where my sister's like, I'm surprised she's still alive and you still have her. I'm like, excuse me, wait a minute. But I know why, because she says, because I get bored of things very easily. Like the simple thing of like, you hyper focus on something and you're like, it's fulfilled the dopamine hit, so I want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But this one is different, because I can't be like, yeah, so it's been fun, Daisy.
See you later.
Our work is done. Thank you for your
Let's try to
services.
renew
I
hire.
can't, do you know what I mean? I can't bring myself to doing that. So, I'm a keeper for the rest of my life, she has to get rid of me before I get rid of her. So yeah.
Which is good. I mean, that's probably my issue, where I had the same thing. I was so hyper focused on getting a dog. I need a dog. I need a dog. I need a dog. I did the opposite. I did no research because I'm very impulsive. One of my friends, had the later, so they had the Akita, and she was like, yeah, we're looking for homes, blah blah blah, and I was like, yay, I'm here. And then I looked at pictures and I thought, oh, it doesn't look that big. And then it was really bad because I looked at the mom, and the mom was huge, and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna grow that big. Like in my head, like it's not gonna grow that much. And like, he was like 7 or 8 months and he was already huge. And then obviously the training, because it just takes a lot to train an Akita, and they're just so happy all of the time. And they want to play and they want to go outside and they're so energetic. So we were walking this guy for like 3-4 times a day, and I was like, what did I do? This is insane. And my husband was like, it was your choice, so I'm not involved in any of this. Like, you looking after your dog, you walk it, you feed it, you take it to the vets, you train it, you do this, you do that. And it just became so overwhelming for me that in the end, that's why my mum looks after him half the time and I look after him the other time, because it's just not, I don't know. But I couldn't bear not to have him either, because I do love him. I love him like in short periods of time, like twice a day, 2 days a week. and then you go to my mom's, and I'm cool. Bless him.
Yeah, no, totally get that. With this one, every time she'll come, she just wants attention. She has to like get some sort of attention. So she
Yes.
kept disturbing me, jumping on the door, jumping on the door. So I'm like, I'm just gonna hold her because she's gonna keep distracting me.
Oh, she's so
So
cute.
thank you.
She's a Frenchie, you said?
She's a Frenchie, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so that when you're talking about that training and like them being little, something that I used to really be accustomed to my dad because he didn't spade our cat. But now that she has kittens,
Mm.
the novelty of also having like not knowing how many you're gonna get. Every time you get them, she tends to have 2 partners in the area, so we know they're gonna look as one of 3 ways. But like
Mm.
seeing the combinations of them, they're tiny when cats are, and they look a little bit like rats, if I'm being honest. Don't they?
Yeah, they
They
do
look a
look.
bit
Yeah, they look awful when they're born.
like But then, like, also some of them are like the way they form is very different. So you might get some that like they're not walking for ages, and then some that's ready to like fight and they're ready to play fight each other. And you see your cat go from what was your just playmate to then having to now lay down and breastfeed, and that is also like such a different version of your animal. And then when you literally see something go from only laying there and sleeping to now like toddling around. Then you got to train it how to use the litter, and they can't quite like use the litter and bury because their paws are just too tiny. But then they start getting more comfortable around humans. I'm like, my dad's a big believer in like letting them explore and find their way. So he'll like let them climb up things and go around stuff. He won't let them out, but like in our garden at least.
Yeah.
But then I have to find homes for them. And even that for me as someone with ADHD, like I'm then doing like call outs and organizing homes
Yeah.
and risk assessing, like, are these people just wanting a cat because it's a novelty
Yeah.
thing, or are they going to keep these things alive and actually look after this? So there's like this risk assessor me that comes out that is super protective of this animal. And it's kind of heartbreaking having to like let them go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feeds that like novelty in me of like, okay, every 9 or so weeks, not every, but like roughly when she's pregnant for that long, I know I'm going to have to look for new people and organize homes. And it's quite nice to then see people send me pictures afterwards of like the cat growing up. And it is quite a lovely thing that has bonded now, like a good maybe 30 people now that she's given babies to.
Wow.
And they all look very different, but technically they're all siblings. And that's like nice to know
Yeah.
there's several friend groups and families that have cats that have come from one home that are now linked to each other. So it's a really, it feels like a lovely gift to give in like a way
Yeah.
that feels like you're gifting some companionship and a bit of nurture for other people. So that is a really lovely like little thing that grows and you give it, which is nice.
That's lovely,
Yeah.
Niquelle. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. No, that's so lovely because sometimes I think about when Mooney's gonna have her pups, but then I don't know, because I feel like with cats, obviously they go out, they do their thing, they choose their mate. Whereas with dogs, it's more kind of you need to find somebody that, oh, well, so I say somebody, you need to find like a dog and whatever that's suitable. And it's a lot more on you to kind of make that happen in a way. So I'm just like, yeah, but I need to find her a suitable man. Like, oh, you know. Can't just be any man. It's my
Yeah.
baby.
You gotta do proper matching. Matching. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So that means you want your baby dog to have litter. Litter. To have kit
Pups.
Is it
Pups,
yeah,
puppies.
kittens, puppies,
Yeah.
puppies. That's the right word. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, little kittens. What is it? Yeah, so puppies. So you want to be a mummy?
Yeah, but then I'm just like, but she's a baby. Like, can she have babies? Like, you get
Yeah,
that instinct and you're like, oh my God, my baby's going to have a baby.
I
Or babies.
know. Yeah, exactly. Because you don't
Yeah.
really know what when are you gonna get. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
difficult. I feel like that's another decision for people that have pets, specifically as well with
Mm-hmm.
people with ADHD. Do we want our pets to have children or
Yeah.
their own? Yeah, because you know
Because,
that you're not gonna be able to look after them. You're gonna have to give them away.
yeah. And then I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, all them puppies, like when they are born, managing all of
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, because the first
Yeah.
3 months, you as the dog owner has to look after them for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can't even kind of like sell them or anything.
That's
No.
a
Yeah.
lot.
My mum keeps trying to say, yeah, get Daisy to have puppies. I said, who's looking after these puppies? Because I ain't. And especially in my flat. Like, like, what are we doing here? I said to Daisy, to be honest with you, I don't think she has an eternal bone in her body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she'll be looking at me waddling around if she was pregnant. Like, what is this? Who asked for this? Which I'm okay with. I'm like, cool. I guess we're on the same page.
Yeah.
But it is, I did think about the whole kind of like, yeah, having pups and stuff, and you kind of realize the work that you have to do then to make sure with dogs, and I don't know what it's like with cats, but with dogs, like you have to make sure they're vaccinated, they're microchipped.
Yeah.
Again, similar, you want to make sure that you are sort of kind of giving them to the right people.
Yeah.
And they go into good homes and people's intentions are, you know, pure and they're not going out there. Again, similar to kind of like, yeah, finding a dog that you can kind of breed your dog with as well. Because there's also kind of like the dangers behind certain breeds breeding with another breed, a breed of dogs. So you want to be mindful of that and everything. And I just said, I just felt like with my ADHD, I've got a Rolodex of stuff to deal with already to then have to potentially, not knowing how many puppies your dog will have, to then manage that, to then make sure you're labeling them with whatever, and then, you know, some sort of like small training that you can. I can barely wake up, let alone feed your mother, to then feed 7 of you guys. I don't know, you know.
And even for cats, it's the same. And that's actually how we ended up with a second cat. The first time it happened, we were not prepared for kittens. And like we weren't aware of how long we had to look after them. And actually they got too big for the point you'd really normally give them away. And like the bigger they get, they pass this novelty stage of like a kitten for people.
Yeah.
So we actually have a cat that is called Kitty because it didn't have a name like for so long. And we don't want to name other people's, what is going to be other people's cats. So we were like figuring it out as we went. Up to now, I'm still not 100% sure on how to like gender and sex them. Like if I see balls, it's a boy, but sometimes I've got that wrong. So when people are like, is it a boy? I'm like, I don't know. When you take it to the vet,
Figure out that yourself.
you do that. And, you know, even with the choice of like the jabs, and some people microchip their cats as well, that was a choice. Do we want to do that? Do they? Because some people choose not to. So it's really, because cats are a little bit, well, bar when I was really young, I had a different cat and it was like an all white, like albino cat. Someone kidnapped my cat and posted our collar through my letterbox. Wild.
The audacity.
So they knew it was our cat. I used to live in like a block of flats and we were the garden house. So people saw the cat. I imagine like in the flats above, they wanted an animal. And when we let it out, it was like the chance to take her.
You're not getting it back.
You're not getting her back. But aside from that, I very rarely would see people like try and take a cat. Because the cats are quite territorial. They'll come back to where they've gone from. They're not gonna, unless someone like picks them up and takes them. But like kittens, generally speaking, they reach a point that like, they're not wanted anymore by others. And that's the hard point, because you're like raising them somewhat and then almost forcibly needed them to go unless you're ready to or have capacity to keep them yourselves. And actually what we call Kitty actually kind of is a bit feral in comparison to the way Yoshi is, because it grew up a bit uncertain of, is it hair, is it not hair? And it will come in, but it will do it really tentatively. So like you open the door, it will like creep in, but if you go to like touch the plate where the food is, it will run back out. So it's like very scared and quite anxious because it's had this like feeling of detachment. And even for the mum,
going to be here or not?
Yeah, and cats know when you're like around it in a way that's kind of affectionate or not. And even the mum cat is cool to it sometimes. It kind of like, if there's one plate, it will hiss at that cat and be like, go do your own thing. Because mum cats kind of also detach from their litter once they get to a certain point, and they're no longer their baby. They kind of see just another cat. And it's very strange. We in our heads obviously know it's her child, but I don't think she holds that relationship anymore. it's really strange to kind of navigate for them. No, we still
Yeah.
feed them and raise them as both our cats, but that cat is definitely, it will not stay in the house. It will not sleep inside ever. It just doesn't want to.
Doesn't want
It does that outside
to.
in the little, we have a shed outside and there's like a part where it can kind of make sure it stays dry and warm outside.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk honestly about the challenges. So, what parts of pet ownership do you find hardest with ADHD? So, this could be routines, sensory overload, any guilt, any executive dysfunction. I know we kind of touched on a few, but is there anything else that comes up for you at all, Niquelle?
I think the hardest part is those routines, like keeping to a
Mm.
stable routine. Cats don't follow any kind of logic, I've realized over the years. They do what they want when they want. And I think we would love them to be more standardized in their routine because, especially, we work. So our schedules are quite rigid depending on how we work. I luckily have a job that allows me to kind of work from home as well. So that allows a little bit more flexibility. But we would put the food there at specific times. The cat won't eat it at those times necessarily. So it's kind of monitoring and almost remembering, like, when did I put it down? And sometimes you come back and the plate's still full and then you're like, wait, did I forget? So kind of you're keeping your own logs and schedules of what you're doing because you can also overfeed the cat and the cat will not stop
Yeah.
eating. It will just eat more and more. And my cat also eats human food. So it kind of eats like a dog sometimes. My dad gives it bone ends. It eats that cartilagey bit. It's a cat. It's a Caribbean cat, I think. And yeah,
Word.
she is an unconventional cat and she will fully stick to her own timings. And I think that's quite difficult to kind of embed routines for her. I've never had to really like fully submerge her in water, bathe her, but there were times when she was super, super young. Doing something to an animal when you know they don't like it, it feels horrible. And like, I'm super sensitive to like feelings and super empathic. And having an animal under stress when you're doing something to them, oh, it's like the worst feeling ever. So having to like bathe a cat and do that part of it it just feels like you're like torturing them. Even though my cat's not like anti-water, she'll be in the rain, but try and put her in a tub or absolutely not. She will yelp, and that is not like a meow. It's like this horrible. It's like, in the middle of the night, sometimes you hear cats, and that's when they're doing their business. It's like that kind of. Oh, it's horrible. That is, yeah, no, I don't wish that on my enemy. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I relate to everything you just said because my cat is exactly the same. He's definitely a global majority cat. Yeah, he is also a human food, and he's obsessed. He's obsessed with it. So if you don't give it to him, he'll try and steal it. So we can't leave any food out. Yeah, we can't leave any food out on the counters or anything. Everything has to be put away. What he's doing now is that he's trying to get into the beans outside, like outside beans, whatever. Yeah. And we're like, no, 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 that's not. So we have to put rocks on top of the beans now because it just makes a big mess because there's no actual food that you can eat. It's waste because we recycle our waste. So that's what he's trying to like grab all these, and he's made a massive mess the other day. I wanted to kill him. I was like, oh my God, this is so disgusting. He's like in the front of my house. There's all these rubbish scattered everywhere. And we knew it was him because we've got a camera at the front. So we went back and we thought, oh, maybe it could be the foxes. And my husband's like, I'm quite sure it was Coco. And then when we went back and looked at the film, yeah, there he was going for the beans and everything. And there's nothing that he can eat, but he's obsessed with like food. And when we give him the dry food or whatever, he's like, no, I don't want it. So that's a massive challenge. Also, they're supposed to clean themselves. That's why we think that he's just a gangster. Because when he comes home, his face looks all day, and you're like, oh man, why are you not cleaning yourself, man? What's going on? Like, are you depressed? What's going on? We're looking after you properly. Also have to kind of like close all the windows, and we need to take him to the vet. And I think he knows. Oh my God, when he sees no windows are open, no doors are open, he's like, damn, I'm gonna get jabbed. And he hides inside the house. He's like, oh my goodness. And then we try to we can look for him everywhere, and then we grab him, and it's a fight. It's horrible. And then put him into his box so we can take him to the vet. We've missed a lot of vet appointments because of it. So that's another part of the challenges that, you know, when I talk to my vet, I need to tell her, like, you know, be booking this appointment. Please don't charge me if we have to cancel last minute because he might not be here. She's like, yeah, we understand. But yeah, he gets regularly checked, like every 6 months. And he has his wormings as well. Like he has all his tablets and stuff. We don't want to have any sort of animals or nothing like that in the house. And because he goes out. So that's why we look after him a bit more than I think anybody would, a normal indoor cat. Yeah, and we do try to clean him against his will, unfortunately. So it's like we've got my husband and I and my children all trying to grab him, and then we just clean him really quickly. This happens like in seconds. But yeah, we do it ourselves. I don't know why, you know, I don't know why we do it, but it's part of our routine. It's just we want him to look nice.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I think for me, you know how you're saying, Niquelle, about you might put the food out, but you know your cat might not necessarily eat it at the same time. And sometimes I wish my dog would be like that. The minute I put that food out, that food is gone. But it's like, because of that, I think because sometimes I forget to eat, so I forget to feed myself, but I'll make sure she's fed. But then sometimes I'm like, okay, hold on, I just realized what the time is. I haven't eaten, but have I fed her? I'm sure I fed her. I know I fed her. And then sometimes I'm like, am I feeding her too much or not enough? It's like I'm trying to get into a proper routine, but sometimes the way my brain is and I'll be forgetting, I'm just like, did I? Didn't I? And then now I'm in this little spiral. So that can be quite challenging for me as well, sometimes. But I just think it's so interesting, the difference with cats and dogs, because I remember there was a time when my sister came home with a cat, like a little kitten, and she didn't do any research. She didn't really know much about it. She just wanted a cat. I think we left one of the windows open. So basically the kitten got out. It was quite small, got out. And it was gone for like, I think a day or two, but then it came back. But in those 2 days, my sister was panicking. Even my mum didn't want the cat, but my mum was at the front door looking for this cat, like standing there looking for me. And I was like, Mum, literally. And then it was raining, everything. And eventually it came back. And I was like, wow, it's so young. And it really knew where it was coming back to already. It was amazing. I mean, it came back with fleas, but it came back.
Yeah.
And I just find it so fascinating that they really know like where they're coming from and where they're going back to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, because when a dog gets lost, if he's not chipped or has a GPS or whatever, that dog ain't coming back.
Yeah.
Actually, in saying that, there is kind of like, some people have come back with stories of like dogs are able to kind of like, if you take them on a walking routine, they're able to remember. So if it is that they get lost on a walk, sometimes it's not for every dog breed, but sometimes dogs are able to kind of like make their way back home or to the vicinity. But obviously I would advise people obviously get their dogs chipped. But when I would take Daisy for a walk, because some dogs are not, and I guess this is the initial part of like the training of a dog, is kind of training your dog to be able to recall. So even if you put them off a leash and you're in the park, for them to be able to, once you call their name, they can come back. So a lot of dogs aren't able to do that. Again, it takes training. With Daisy, she's kind of good at it, where I'll call her back, and she'll come back. Or even kind of like after a while, she might have run off, and she'll look back like to say, "Oh, you're not there." Then she'll run back to come and find me. And I think that's also because like she's like, "Where's my owner? Where's my owner? Where's she at?" I mean, there's also a fear of like, I can't lose her, because if I lose her, then boy, I don't know. But yeah, even kind of like, I think of like another challenge, because you guys had me thinking, is around the foods. With Daisy, I wish she was able to kind of like eat her food. She's very a picky eater, so I would get her the food. At first she'd be really excited, she'll eat kind of like the food, and again I feel like also, have I passed my ADHD and anxiety onto this dog? Because what is this? All of a sudden she's then bored and she doesn't want to eat the meal, and she won't touch the meal. So the meal's there and she won't touch it, but she'll eat her treat. Anytime I'm giving her a treat, she's yamming off the treat, but the food, she's like, nah, I'm not feeling that today. And then even like there'll be times where I'll get my sister or my mum to look after her, and they're like, "Oh, she hasn't eaten." I'm just like, she's been a diva. She's fine.
Yeah.
And I also think she's probably stored some food in her when she's like,
Yeah.
because I think the grateful thing that I have with Daisy is that she isn't one of those dogs, because I hear about dogs that will just yum off anything on the road. Daisy's not that kind of dog.
Oh, no.
She's like, nah. She'll sniff it, but she'll be like, nah, that's not a bit of me.
I'm smart. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I ain't eating that.
Yeah, it's not a bit of me. And also, I think also as well, the vet sort of kind of stuff can be quite challenging as well.
Yeah.
Something I struggle with, which I've had to put reminders as well, is like doing her flea treatment every 3 months and then doing her deworming every 3 months as well. And you can't do them at the same time. You have to, like, so for example, if you do a flea treatment, you have to wait a month before you do the deworming stuff. So it's also kind of like having those reminders, because I'm like, I don't want to, like, what if I accidentally, I don't want to kill my dog. You know, like, I think this is one of the most serious and responsible parts of my life, where I'm like, I do not want to be held responsible for killing a pet. Not because like I'm just out here just wanting to kill it. No, it's obviously because I love her dearly, but I'm very much aware. You know, when you're just like, you kind of put your own needs on the back burn, because you feel like you have a responsibility to make sure that you look after the dog, make sure that, you know, you kind of like pick up on certain things. But I definitely feel like, the challenges sometimes is just making sure that the necessary things. So like, I've even kind of said to the vets, like, I've put the opt-in of like, when she's due like her yearly jabs, I want to get the emails, because I'm not going to lie to you, I will forget.
Yeah.
And those are important, because after a year, you have to have certain jabs every single year. So you don't want to miss that. And then there's a window, they say ideally at least a month before, or maybe a month after is kind of like, or a month or two after, you have a bit of to make sure you have the vaccinations done. But having kind of like text reminders, email reminders as well of those sort of things have been really, really helpful. I'm sure we're going to answer that question, but that was definitely a challenge. And also people sometimes are like, sorry, I'm trying not to go on a tangent. What blows my mind is when people get dogs and they're like, I don't want to pick up the shit. What did you think you were going to do with a dog? I'm sorry. I'm mind blown when people are like, yeah, I really love my dog, but I just can't pick up the shit. What?
Yes.
My girl, you better just pick up that poo bag, wrap it up, and dash it, because
it's true.
It's mind blowing to me. Like when people are like, I don't want to touch my dog, but honey, like for me, that wasn't an issue. I was fine with that, But also, I used to get frustrated with seeing loads of people just leaving their dogs like waste just everywhere and not picking it up. I get really frustrated by that, because, like, you know, the least you can do when you have a dog and you're taking the dog out for a walk is clean up after the dog.
Yeah.
You know. But that's the one thing that I found challenging, hearing other people that have pets that saying, oh yeah, I don't want to really pick up the poo. I'm like, wow.
That's frustrating for me, because the amount of times I've stepped in dog poop because of that, I'm like, if you had just picked up your dog poo, then I wouldn't be in this situation, because I've got to clean the trainers. And that's another stress for me.
But even
and I get embarrassed because I don't know who's watching me. So I'm like, the moment, you know, when you walk away, you don't want to be getting no tap on your shoulder. Like, I've just seen what you just did. Yeah. That's even more embarrassing for me. But I don't pick up the poo.
Even with cats, they're the same. Like, of course, the size of a dog poo versus a cat poo is a lot bigger, right? But
well, it depends on the size of the dog, though.
Yeah, yes, except for the like little handbag dogs. But like the cats, for me, I find that part really hard, to like poo part, because I'm really sensitive in my smell.
Yeah.
So like I am literally like holding my breath through like emptying litters, and very rarely, because she's a big cat, does she use the litter. But like when we have the kittens, like I cannot do that part. It's the sensory overload of like them, and then they don't know how to actually cover the poo, so it's like just you see it and then
everywhere
they have it on their paws, and then you have to like nicely clean the little kittens, and they just don't know any better. So like I remember the first time I had to deal with a kitten that like pooed and didn't do it in the right place, like it just did it somewhere random. Like I literally picked that kitten up and took it to the poo and said, we don't do this again. Because I then had to touch the poop in it, like obviously like clean it, not with the litter grit around it. I don't want to deal with that. And it is, my senses go on a trillion when it comes to the poo and the smells. Yeah, I struggle with that to this day.
Yeah. It reminded me when I had my children, when I had my first daughter, I wore masks, I wore gloves, an apron just to change her nappy. And people used to, and I was not diagnosed back then, so people used to find it like, what are you doing? It's your baby. This is my baby, by the way. And I was like, yeah, it's disgusting. Like, I cannot deal with the smell. I cannot, it's just nasty. This is the worst thing ever. And they were like, so what, like your poo, what about her? It's my poo. Like, what? Yeah, but it's your baby. And then obviously years after when I was diagnosed, I was like, ah. And I did it with all of my kids, the three of them. My family, when we have family gatherings and they talk about motherhood, I'm the example. Oh my God, guys, remember when Anna used to wear all these stuff just to clean her baby? So yeah, I do the same thing with Milo. Yes, with Milo, when I go out, I have gloves, I have masks, I put mask on. He's a huge dog. He's a huge dog. So you can imagine how huge. I basically have to use both hands to like.
Oh my gosh.
And my husband, he's like, I told you, you wanted a dog. Here you go. That's why. Because he was like, he grew up with dogs. He's had every breed under the sun when he grew
Wow.
up. His dad used to rescue dogs. So yeah, so he basically, he was like, when we were both married, he was like, I want to have children. I do not want to have pets. And I was like, I want to have children, but I also want to have pets. So it was like a contradiction. And for years, he didn't want to let me have a pet because he was like, I've had enough. You know, that was my upbringing. I was bringing up pets the whole of my life. I don't want to do that again. And he kept telling me like the hardest and the most, and he's also autistic. He found that the most difficult bit was picking up the poo. But I just thought, it's not us, right, man? It's not a big deal, blah, blah, blah. And that is definitely a challenge. So I would imagine that anybody else that has ADHD or is on the spectrum or has a neurodiversity or whatever, that has that sensory overload would go through the same. Absolutely.
Well, no, interesting. And it had me thinking about my dog walks as well, Jules, when you were saying that some dogs do kind of remember like their homes and stuff. And I think Mooney's quite like that. Like, yeah, like when we, like, for example, when we get back near the house anyway, I don't know how far she would remember, but when we get back near the house and I let her off, she knows exactly where she's going. She knows her front door. She knows how to get there. She knows where the lift is. Even at my mum's as well, she knows where it is. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think they do quite remember a bit. Okay, so a lot of people with ADHD tend to struggle with shame when they feel like they're not doing enough. So just to think, have you ever felt guilt or anxiety around being a pet owner, and how do you manage that? Jules, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think yes. Initially, when I would struggle with kind of like obviously taking her for the walks. I think, you know, you see kind of like how people are with pets. Even though I'd done like heavy research around the best sort of kind of like breed of dog that would suit like my environment and sort of kind of like my routine. And she was perfect for me. But I also felt really guilty because I wasn't the one, because everyone talked about like, you know, when you take your dogs out for a walk, it's like you and your dog sort of kind of like connecting and doing all of that stuff. And at first I was like, yeah, that's cute and whatever. But then again, I also found kind of like going on the walks quite overwhelming. And so I felt a little bit shameful at the fact that I wasn't that dog owner that would constantly go on walks every single day with my dog. For some time, it was kind of like, I think also sometimes my family would be like, oh, so what did you and Daisy do today? I was like, oh, we'd be chilling in the house. Like, so you're not gone for a walk? And it will always be that. So you're not gone for a walk? I'm like, well, no, she's fine, actually. She's gone out to the balcony. She's seen a bit of sunshine. She's sniffed a bit of air. She's okay. But I think what I also realized is that I also wanted her to be able to socialize with other dogs, because I got her 3 months before we went into lockdown. And so in the 3 months, I didn't have her out very much. And then when we went into lockdown, it was just basically me and her. So I would have to take her on the walks. There was no dog walkers. I would have to do the grooming and all of that kind of stuff. So a lot of it, I had to do a lot of that stuff. But then I realized, to help myself and also to still have her have a healthy sort of like environment and healthy, enriching sort of life, have a dog walker in place. So having a dog walker has helped massively. And it's basically, dog picks her up and drops her off, and they go for walks in big massive parks with other various different sizes of dogs. So she gets to interact with other dogs, because again, she was a lockdown dog, so she didn't get to interact with dogs very often. So I also think that there's this whole thing around, because she's been so used to humans, like I felt like I neglected her a little bit when it came to that. But obviously that was out of my control because of the pandemic. But still making sure that it cost money, but also having it in place where a dog walker can kind of come in, pick her up, and she's gone for like 3-4 hours. So that's a solid day. She comes back, she's tired, or she looks at me if it's raining like, bitch, why did you do so? Excuse my French. I didn't ask for this. So she'll look at me coming back dirty and be like, yeah, you have to deal with this.
Yeah.
I'm like, Daisy, no!
She's like,
why?
you clean me now.
It's literally like, clean me, bitch, since you let me outside. So yeah.
Yes, that is guilt. That is guilt when you have to take them out in the rain. Bless. But oh my goodness, I love the fact that you're able to do that. You can pay someone to walk them.
Yeah. And that's something I only started knowing with, like, realizing with my ADHD and not feeling guilty, like similar to like having a cleaner, like knowing that sometimes I just can't clean my flat. It overwhelms me. And there's a certain guilt that you have with, like, obviously I grew up in a Nigerian household, so it was just like, it's imperative you keep the house clean and you clean the house. And I grew up doing that and I didn't enjoy the cleaning. So now I'm like, I'm of adult age. I've got adult money. I know I can't do it. And my ADHD will not allow me to. So I'm going to put some things in place. And the lucky thing is I get PIP as well. So the PIP sort of like allows me to be able to kind of like off kilter that payment. And it doesn't feel like it's too strenuous on kind of like my day-to-day cost. So it helps with those kind of things, because I know that my ADHD won't allow me to do certain daily sort of like functioning tasks, and those are the things that I can't do, even though sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. So just having that in place has really, really helped. And it had to take me having ADHD to then feel like I cannot look at my life in the same way as a neurotypical person. And so the guilt sort of disappears, because I'm like, no, it's not like I've completely neglected it. I've put other things in place to then help me be able to manage it, so I don't allow it to consume me or become even more overwhelmed and guilty by the fact that, I've left this and I've neglected it. And I haven't neglected her. I've just put something else to help that when I feel like I can't do it all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I can definitely relate to that, Jules, to be honest, because I think that's kind of similar with me. Walking her every day is such a task for me, where there are some days where I just physically cannot. And then my sister would be like, why haven't you walked Meanie today? You need to walk Meanie, take her out. And then obviously that guilt does kind of come. But I'm looking at the same, like thinking about getting a dog walker or something in place that can help me with that as well. And as well, I was feeling guilty because I feel like she is so used to humans, like she hasn't really been around many dogs either. So I feel like when it comes to other dogs, she's so territorial, like she's really not friendly. So now I'm like, I was looking up, like, is there dog day centers or whatever where she can just go and just socialize with dogs, because it's a lot. When she was a lot younger, there was one of the vets said that they used to do like basically like a dog play group thing, but then they stopped doing it, so I didn't know where else to find another one. And yeah, she's just like humans, she's just so territorial and so reactive, and just I'm like, yeah, she needs socialization. So that part I feel really guilty about, but then I'm like, you know what, things can be put into place to help me manage it and help her have like a better, I guess, socialization, because she's still quite young. But yeah, so I definitely get that. Yeah.
I it's the same thing for me. I feel like this is like a similarity in all of us that have dogs, that we feel like we're not walking them enough, we're not giving them enough exercise, that we're not giving them the right training. Oh my goodness. With my dog, I didn't train him for the first year because I thought, "Oh, I can just manage. I'll read all the books, and then I'll watch all the channels and then all the programs, all the podcasts about training a dog. He doesn't need to go to training camp. I can do it." And No, he was not very nice. He learned really bad manners and he beat my son twice. My son ended up in A&E twice. So I had social services come knocking, and it took that, for me to kind of realize, okay, maybe I'm not doing things properly. Maybe I'm not, even though I had many of my friends telling me, but I'm the kind of person that I'm just like, I'm very stubborn. I'm very stubborn, and I feel like I can do it. I can do it. I can learn all things possible. If I've learned to do this and I've learned to do that, then I'm able to learn how to look out, how to train a dog and the breed. And I was just learning about Akitas. Even I've got so many books. And then yeah, social services was like, no, you need to take him to a proper training camp. Otherwise, we'll take him away from you, and he'll be, that will be the end of him. And I was like, no, oh my God, no. Yes, so we took him to a proper training camp. It was quite far as well, God. And then his behaviors just changed altogether, like completely. He had like 6 weeks of training, and it just kind of like, he just calmed down. Like, he was so hyper. He was just still, because he was a teenager. He was like a year old. So like a year and a half or something. He was just a proper teenager, just hyper and jumping on people whenever I had visitors. He would jump on them, and he would try and bite off their feet. He was a feet. He likes feet. So yeah, we had to teach him you can't do that to people. And now everybody that comes around, they just absolutely love him, and they just, even children. He's very protective for children. And my son, he grew a bit scared of him for a very long time, but now that he's trained and everything, like, he's a bit more like, okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. And actually, he didn't want, when social services got involved and social services said, do you want us to get rid of him? My son was like, no, please, no, don't get rid of him. He didn't mean it. He just needs
Oh,
training. And my son was like 11 at the time. So, yeah, it's just it was just amazing. But yeah, there's so many challenges. And so I feel like what you said, Jules, about neurotypicals and people who are neurodivergent is that sometimes we don't look at all the intrinsics. We don't look at how difficult and the challenges that come with that. But we just want to have what we want to have. We want to have that pet. We want to have, you know, but we don't. I didn't do any research. Like, I just went straight into it because it's what I wanted. And my children, my husband, everybody was telling me, be careful, do your research, think about it. You're very busy. You've got 3 kids. You have a job. You're doing this. You're doing that. And I wasn't listening. I was just like, I was so focused on what I wanted, and I don't care about anybody else. And then once I got it, I was like, yeah, it was this.
I was the same. That was me as well. Impulse.
Impulse. Oh my goodness.
But that's it's so funny you say that, because I actually think, and this is where I see these parallels in my dad and me. My dad is not diagnosed with ADHD, but he has ADHD. I'm not a doctor, but he has ADHD. And it was pure impulse that he was like, yes to a cat. And also his decision to not spade her. Like, I asked him, why not? Because for me, the rate at which she's having kittens surely must be taking toll on her body and like her as an animal.
How many has she had?
She has had probably about 6 litters, and the smallest litter she's had was 4. So she's had like one litter
Wow.
was like 7 of them. And like, she's not a huge cat, and she's also not super old. So it's like the rate at which she's having them surely must be taking toll. And I think sometimes is a conflict that I am always weighing up on a moral side of, like, can
Yeah.
you sustain that? Because also,
Is it too
like,
late to do it
surely
now?
I know, I think you can spade them at any point, because just,
Okay.
But I think for my dad, his rationale was, would you like it if we spaded you? And I was, when he said it that way, I mean, I get the rationale of like animal, freedom. And
Yes, after 10 kids.
I think it's also that, that conflict of how much is it taking toll on her, and there isn't information on the toll it makes and takes on an animal that, like, I've actually looked up so much, and it doesn't really give much recommendation on how many litters they should
Yeah, they can actually have.
and that is always a fear that, like, at one point she's gonna have a litter that takes her out,
Yeah.
Babies, obviously, they're lovely, and the novelty of having them, etc., is also nice. But it's also like until when we learnt the hard way from that first litter, and basically have a cat that is super anxious as a result of not knowing really how to deal with a litter and
Yeah.
and I always think like there's places like cat cafes and all of these other places where you can get cats to socialize, but they're quite antisocial animals anyway. But like that cat, I cannot imagine a day where I could take that cat and put it in a cat carrier and take it anywhere because it would literally
She would have.
yeah, it would be shivering the whole time out of just anxiety to just be around humans. Like that would freak it out so much. And like I have seen when it definitely gets warmer, like we will leave the whole back door open to the front so it can kind of walk through. And it does come in and it is warm to us because it knows us. But like
Yeah.
I've stroked that. I can count the amount of times I've stroked that cat because it's that anxious.
Wow.
We, as someone who suffers with anxiety myself, anxiety takes toll on the body. And I know how much that is on that cat. Like that cat is stressed out all the time. And
Yeah.
hyper vigilant and hyper, looking for the dangers constantly. And like, is that a happy cat? I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it socializes with, even when it socializes with what is its mum, like half of the time she's just hissing at it and telling it, get away from my food. Like, isn't, I don't know how much it's having a great time. And it's also an all black cat. So also there's like a superstition obviously
Beautiful.
around all black cats. And
Yeah.
I see loads of people, if it is out and about, like
Mm.
they move from it as opposed to go toward it because of those like superstitions around black cats and all these other
My
things.
gosh.
So it's like that cat in particular has been a turmoil of like, had we known what to do to like raise kittens the first time round and like done the research and all of that sides of things, maybe it would be less stressed and less anxious now. But I am working so hard on just getting closer to the food when it comes and, I'll put the thing and then it will come closer and like it lets me now touch its head. And like I
Small steps.
cannot move. Like I have to be a statue basically over its plate and it will literally put its head into my hand. But if I move my finger, it's gone.
Oh.
So it's baby steps, but I feel like I need to figure out like how do you help a cat with anxiety and like a sentiment that isn't just a cat that sleeps and purrs and comes to you. There isn't tons of information around that. And
No, there isn't.
that's something that I always feel a slight guilt around of like the toll of the babies and then that one baby that we weren't planning to keep. How do we get it
Cute.
happy?
I just feel so touched by that story. Like honestly, you said the name is Kitten?
Yeah, it's called Kitty, yeah, Kitty.
Kitty. That's it. It's Kitty. Yeah, because we just didn't
You
know
need
what
to
to name.
rename it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just meant to be. She was meant to stay with you guys.
But
That's
it
how
is
it's meant to
teaching
be.
me a lot about like patience and taking time with an animal that isn't generically what you would get an animal for in
Yeah.
our like human desire for an animal. Like you want that closeness to it. And this isn't an animal that is naturally inclined that way. So it's teaching me a lot about kind of a slower approach to warming to an animal, finding different ways around like looking after
Yeah.
it. Because it knows where its home is. It comes here every day. It eats with us. It don't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, true.
it's that patience of knowing it's safe and giving it that kind of safe environment that it knows that you can relax.
You can relax. Oh, just I thought Coco. I think our Coco is super relaxed. He just doesn't have any care in the world. He's so territorial as well. If you buy a new piece of furniture, he has to sleep on it, no matter what it is, even if it's a desk or a chair or whatever. He will just lay in it. And I'm like, but why? You've got like there's so many places in the house that you're already sleeping. And my daughter, by the way, is super allergic. My middle child, she's allergic towards him. So whenever she sits somewhere where he sat down and left his hair, she would just immediately get like things all over her face and stuff. So she has to take antihistamine like every day. Yeah, I know. I was allergic as well, but I became immune after a while, after I had him. Yeah, yeah. So we've talked about so many things today about, oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite subjects. I could go on and on and on and on and on for a very long time. But we're about solutions. So what ADHD friendly systems? Let's move into solutions. What ADHD friendly systems, tools, or hacks help you take care of your pet? For example, there are alarms, routines, reminders, shared responsibility, or tech. I think we talked a little bit before about having like phone reminders and things like that. But what do you use, Niquelle?
We keep it quite simple, actually, between me and my dad looking after the cat. Because when I'm on my own, I don't have a pet. But when I'm at my dad's, we co-look after the cats. But we're actually quite similar in the way that we remind ourselves, especially with like the feeds and stuff. So my cat has a mixture of dry food, tinned food, and then those little pouch thingies, and then human food. But for us to keep track of what they've eaten, like if it's the tins, we'll literally leave the empty, like rinse it out because we recycle everything, rinse it out and then leave the tins on the windowsill so that we know he's fed them or I've fed them. And then I have this little magnetic, it's like a to-do list thing, and it can just stick to the fridge. And I will write on that, like what type of food, because my cat is also quite bougie and sometimes he don't want the dry food, he wants the wet food, he will want the tin food or the human food. So I will write kind of log, it's not on dry food anymore for now, so that my dad then knows, let's not just waste the dry food because it's not going to eat it anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of make notes of where her mood's at and her sentiments at, but we'll kind of leave a visual reminder for each other depending on like who's home that day to know they've been fed in the morning or whenever. And by literally leaving things on the like windowsill visual, or like you'll leave it on the top of the recycling bin so you can see the pouch there. So otherwise we'll just end up overfeeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the main ones, and we just try to share it between us.
Amazing. How about you, Fallon?
I think the thing that helps me is because when I'm out, I'll be like, what is she doing? Is she okay? Is she all right? So I've got like a camera set up so I can actually see what she's doing while I'm out. So I think that kind of helps me a lot because I'm like, I remember before when she was a lot younger, I come home, this dog has turned the house upside down, and I'm just like, nah. So I think having that, and as well, because I can speak to her through it as well, because she used to be a lot like quite anxious. So I think just being able to speak to her, and even though she doesn't, she's like, where is this coming from? But I think that actually helps her calm down as well. And yeah, so it was helpful, I think, for both of us. And then when she used to eat dry food, I had this I mean, I still got it, but she doesn't really like dry food anymore. But it was a feeder where if I'm out as well, like if I popped out or whatever and I need to feed her, or I can set it for a certain time, so I will know, and on the app I can see how much she's eaten, when she's eaten. So that used to help me keep track of it. And that feeder as well had a camera as well, so yeah, it just helped me keep track on what's going on, what she's eaten, what she's doing. I did get a water fountain version where again I can kind of see her water intake, but she doesn't really seem to like the water fountain. She prefers the manual one where she just goes and drinks as she wants. With the water fountain one, I think is a bit too techie for her, so she's not really a fan of it. But that was helpful at first. I thought it was a good idea to help me keep track of her water intake as well, but she don't like it. So yeah, I think at the moment that's kind of the tech that I have in place to kind of help me manage that side of things. But I'm always thinking of another way where I can make this easier for myself. Still probably haven't figured out a lot, but yeah. Right now that's what's working for me. Sorry, George.
How old is your dog, Fallon?
She's 1.5 years now.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of because like I know the feeling of like trying to figure stuff out, especially when they're very, very young. Because I was there and I was like, goddamn. I think I recommend people who, especially people with ADHD, if you want to get a dog, don't get a dog as like a fresh new dog, because I think the first sort of like 2 years of having a dog, the experience that you have to go through, it's nice. It's nice. Oh, they're nice and cute initially, but then afterwards you kind of see, like, I remember like Daisy just chewing through bare of my shoes, and I'm like, what the hell? I would come back home and I would just see like her puppy pad ripped to shreds, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yes, oh my goodness, my skirting boards, she'd eaten my skirting boards. I had a center table, she'd eaten the sides of the center table. I'm like, what?
But honestly, and it is crazy at first, but then I don't know what it was. It felt like as soon as she like turned 2, like she, like her energy had just shifted and just changed, and she had been a lot more calmer and she had listened. And I think she'd kind of like, after a while, they kind of get their feelers and their senses of like, oh, I know that I don't want to touch that, or I don't know if that's going to cause me harm, or maybe I just made her even more anxious, and where she's just like, I don't want to be touching anything or whatever. But there was a lot less like messes. Like, for example, she would like, before she would like pee in random places, even though I had trained her, but obviously that's from excitement. So just kind of just like, I definitely like, yeah, I would say the first 2 years, it's like, why did I get a dog? Why did I get a dog? Then afterwards, you're like, actually, you're right. You actually, I love you. You know, I do actually love you. Thank you.
So true. It's so true. I think now she's starting to calm down a little bit, so she doesn't really tend to do things like that anymore. But back then, oh my God. Yeah. She still does the excitement pee though. So if it's new people, she will do that. Yeah. As soon as you touch her, tingle, 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 tingle.
Oh,
So if you're holding her as well, she's
so with me, she's fine. But if it's a new person,
that's holding her, for example,
and she's excited,
most likely, yeah.
Imagine! That's so funny. Oh my God.
Just overexcited. Yeah.
I did also want to add one more thing, something that I had put in place. So for example, even though like obviously like naturally I live by myself, so going on holiday is something that I still want to continue kind of doing. So it's like remembering like, oh, who's going to look after my dog? And sometimes or who's going to look after my pet? And sometimes I really like, as much as I love my mum, like I want her to look after my dog, my mum will give her like human food, and I just didn't like that, and she just didn't listen to me. Like, yeah, I'm not leaving you responsible. And then sometimes my sister wouldn't had the time or the facility to look after her. So again, I built quite a good relationship with like my dog walker, who offered me a good price to kind of like look after my dog. And then my dog already knew her, so she was comfortable with her, so there was no issue. There was a time where I went on holiday last year. I went at the end of last year, and I couldn't get in touch with the dog walker in time to kind of put something in place. But then I had my friends who were like, yeah, we can look after her for 2 weeks. I think I was like, I was gone for 2 weeks. And they kind of like float around, move around everywhere. So I was like, my flat is free. You can come and stay in my flat as well. So they were like, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, they were able to look after Daisy. And then also my flat wasn't empty, and I was fine with them using up electricity and the gas or whatever. It didn't bother me. But sort of having those kind of things in place. And then also it made me also realize, because I put a guide together anytime like because I didn't want to miss anything, or like want to feel like I'm just like, here's my dog, be going, have fun, bye. Do you know what I mean? And they're calling me, so can we give you So I put like a really detailed guide, and I realized, oh my God, how structured things are with Daisy and stuff. But those are the things that like when it does come to like having a pet, thinking about like, as much as like you kind of like get the usual kind of like cost here and there, but like if you still want to enjoy life and go on holiday, and you don't have like other people that you can kind of just like give your pet to, like just kind of just being aware of like dog boarding, and finding like reputable and safe dog boarding as well. Because those are things that I've put in place, or like asking people in advance. So like, for example, if I know that I'm going on holiday in July, I might start asking people in April. I'm going on holiday. How do you feel about having a dog for 2 weeks? She's really cute and she's really lovely. You know, putting some feelers out there and everything. So yeah.
Do you know what? That's a good point. That's a good idea, because again, getting my dog was so impulsive, and I'm somebody that I love to travel. Like I like to be able to just get up and go. So I didn't really even think that far ahead. So I remember when I had her, and the first holiday, and I'm like, hold on a second, I got a dog.
She's reminding you that you have got a dog. She's reminding you.
Oh my God, she's talking. She's like, that's right. You've been leaving me alone all this time.
No, and do you know what? That's so interesting what Fallon says, that because I initially, even though I did so much research before getting my dog, I got her on impulse as well. So it
Okay.
was like, because I became so obsessed with it, I was so obsessed with like getting the breed of dog.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just going to go and see what the dog is like. And like, I didn't have intention of like buying a dog that day. The lady was like, oh, so do you like her? I was like, yeah. She goes, okay, great. I was like, can I not come back in 2 days to pick her up? She's like, no, you can take her now. I was like, I haven't got anything. I ain't bought nothing for the dog. Literally had to take. I
Oh,
literally drove down after work to just go and see the dog, and I
yes,
came home with the
with
dog.
a dog.
I didn't think anything through.
See, my friend made it so easy for me because she gave me the dog with everything. She gave me the food. She was like, "Oh, he's had his first vaccinations already, so I already had a vet for him and everything, and they had a litter. So he this is why I think he thinks he's a cat, because from the beginning he got taught to do his business in a litter box. So yeah, it's really like, I'm telling you, it's just so odd. So yes, we had a massive, massive litter box for him, and he would do his business there. And they gave him, it was a bed. They gave us like a kennel as well, because apparently, because they're so energetic, they need to be taught to have time out.
Yeah, so crate training. So you have to
Yes,
train them to be in a crate.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they gave me blankets, toys. She gave me her, like, Milo came with everything. So I thought I was set. I'm set. I'm ready to go. All I need to do is feed you. Embrace you as one of my own. No, it wasn't that easy. And which
Yeah,
is
it doesn't.
why, yes,
Yeah,
go
go on.
ahead, Jules. Sorry.
I said, yeah, it doesn't take away from still having to kind of like the impulsiveness to just like within us ADHD is just being so hyper focused and excited by something.
Yeah.
And until kind of like the dopamine sort of kind of like literally just thinking about it, like, you know, when you have the gratification of like
Gratification.
of getting it and being like, oh, it's happened now, yay! And then
Yes.
realizing, so what comes with what do I have to do? And then you're like, now I have to calculate how much this is
Yeah.
going to cost, and I've got to think about this and I've got to think about that. So yeah, and then I guess the good thing for me was that because we had gone into a lockdown, so there was no holidays for like the first 3-4 years.
Exactly.
That wasn't even on my
true.
mind. But after realizing, oh, the world has opened up, so yeah, I have this dog and I can't take the dog on trips with me everywhere. And what am I going to do? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's a learning experience, kind of like having a pet and then having to manage sort of like your ADHD, and then also even like if you have like a chronic pain illness, or like you have like anxiety and depression, it's kind of just like, how do you kind of maintain that with looking after a pet as well?
Exactly. And now that you mentioned about holidays and stuff, that was the first thing my husband used to say to me. So when we go on holidays, who's going to look after him or her? Who's going to look after the pets? That's one thing you need to think about. And I was like, you're fine, people. We've got cousins and aunties and uncles. We've got my mum and dad. Like, it's not going to be a problem. And then at one point, it was my cousin's wedding, which meant
Everyone's there.
And we were like, okay. So he was like, so who are you going to leave the dog with now? And the cat? 'Cause now we got two. We got two. Yeah, we had to pay someone else to look after them. We paid someone to come to our house and feed them, walk Milo, feed Coco, feed Milo, like every day. That was super expensive. Like, it was crazy.
And that's the
But
novelty.
yeah, that's one of the things that you need to think about every time.
And that's where the like novelty of a cat is super useful, because they're quite neighborhood based. They don't tend to go miles out. So like you tend to find the cats will like canoodle with the neighbor's cat, and then you start talking to them just because you know your cats are talking to each other. And then when you need to potentially leave them, or you won't be able to kind of attend to them in the same way, they're not that different in terms of maintenance. Like obviously everyone feeds them whatever they choose, but like you could easily just say to a neighbor, oh, could you check on them, or
Yeah.
put some food out for them, where they're a lot less high maintenance than a dog. So I think definitely was a consideration for my dad and I, who both like freelance work, because although it's a little bit more flexible, there are times that we're like hyper fixed on whatever it is project we're on, and we need other eyes on the animal. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying before my doorbell went off and sent this one in a frenzy. But Yeah, I was saying that it was so impulsive when I got her that I didn't actually think about going on holiday and stuff like that. So when the first holiday came up, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna look after the dog. But I like that idea, Jules, of actually creating like, you know, a structure of what to do. Because when I went on holiday, so it was like a family holiday, me, my mum, my sister, my brother, all of us went on holiday. And so then my partner was looking after the dog, and tell me why. I get back and he was telling me like what she's eaten, what she's had, blah, blah, blah. He fed her chocolate milk.
No.
Yeah, I mean, she was fine. Like, took her to the vets and everything like that, and they were like, she didn't have a lot, so she was fine. Because I remember one time I was in the vets, and there was a lady saying to me, like, to give your dog like tablets if they won't eat it, like put a little bit of Nutella on it. And I was like, Nutella, but that's chocolate, like, you know. And
Yes.
she was like a little bit. She was like a little bit won't hurt, and I was like, so anyway, when I was speaking to the vet about the chocolate milk and whatever, she was like, if it's a little bit, she's fine. But you know, if it was too much, but then it's like things like that, because I thought that was common knowledge. You don't give dogs chocolate, but
Chocolate,
obviously
yeah.
not everybody knows. So yeah, so I liked that idea. But then with my anxiety now, the idea of letting a random stranger look after my dog while I'm away, it scares me. Because
Yeah.
again, there was a time I was in the vet and a guy came in with his dog and the whole head was like literally wide open. And
Oh my
he said
God,
he went
no.
on holiday. Yeah, he said he went on holiday and left it like to like a boarding place and got the dog back, and they said that the dog ran into the wall. So yeah, so that just sent my anxiety even higher. I was like, oh my goodness, like, you know. So things like that, I'm just like, yeah, I didn't really think any of these things through beforehand, and it's actually a lot to consider. Luckily, I do have my mum and my sister, where a lot of times they will look after her for me. But again, that's a lot of like pressure on them sometimes, and it's just like, what do you do? So yeah, it was a lot that I didn't think about beforehand. Yeah.
Oh
But yeah,
my goodness.
I
Imagine
know.
coming back and finding that your baby has been injured. To me, they're both my babies. They're my extension of my family. They're my
Yeah.
children. I've got 5 kids instead of 3. The idea of something awful happening to them is just not, yeah.
Yeah. It's
That
horrible.
that would, yeah, I will feel so devastated. And that's why it's true. You really need to think about the places, just read the reviews. If you're thinking about leaving them in a place that looks
Yeah.
after pets or whatever, read the reviews. I've always left my pets with people that I know. So
Mm.
it's been either family, extended family, or like really close friends. I
Yeah.
don't think I would be, and the first thing I do before I actually book a holiday is find out who's going to look after them. So
Yeah.
I secure that before I book my holiday. So
No.
that's another thing that I do.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
scary
it
because I
is
had a friend.
scary.
I had a friend, right, and he said that he left his dog as well. I think he went on holiday, and he left the dog with his friend actually, and
Mm.
came back, and the dog's got a broken leg, like literally. And then the friend said that he doesn't know what happened, and it's just things like that just really scare me. Like honestly, they were really scared. I'm just like, maybe I just shouldn't go anywhere and just stay with her because it's scary.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
goodness. Absolutely not. No way.
yes, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, as we've discussed, having pets can be incredibly regulating, but it can also be very overstimulating. So, how do you manage sensory overload related to your pet? For example, noise, mess. We spoke a little bit about mess, and also the constant demand for attention. So, maybe if we start with you, actually, Anna.
Yeah. Noise I can deal with. So okay, so my dog is not noisy at all. He doesn't bark at all. Is very, very rarely when he barks. Coco only makes noise when he wants wet food rather than dry food. And he doesn't leave a mess. Well, actually, what am I talking about? He does leave a mess. His hair is everywhere. What? You know what? I'm so used to cleaning up their mess that I actually, it's like part of my routine. Yes. So the Akita, he shreds his hair every 6 months completely, and it goes everywhere you can think of. Even in your food, you'll find his hair.
Oh no.
And with Coco, yeah, his hair is also everywhere, and he'll sit everywhere. He'll sit in my sofas, my dinner tables, my um well, actually, he doesn't go on the beds. That's the only place he doesn't go on to. Neither does Milo or Coco. They don't go on the beds. But yeah, so we find hair everywhere, and I have to continuously use products, and I have got like 3 different hoovers or different, like I've got a handheld one. I've got one that's small enough to get into places, and I've got a big one. So I've got loads of different products, and I've got a solution that gets rid of the hair. I had to change my flooring completely actually. So I had wooden flooring before, and now I've got ceramic because it's easier to clean. So that was a bit of an investment on my flooring. Actually, I also did it because I wanted to change my house, but not only because of the pets, but it's a lot easier now with the pets. What else can I think of? There's not sensory overload. I love having them around. I think they give me calm. They keep me calm. They give me a lot of they make me laugh. I find them super, super, super funny. They just do all the things that I know my children wouldn't dare to do. So as I'm constantly laughing at all the new things that they come up with and they do. Uh, I'm glad that I got them. Obviously now the hardest part of having them when they were like kittens or when Milo was a puppy, he's now like an adult. So he's very zen, very calm. He's just very loving, very protective of the family. And yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's been such a lovely learning curve for me. At the beginning, like I said, like it was difficult, the constant demand for attention. But they don't really, they're just really, they're oldies now. There's not a lot of, apart from Coco, he demands attention only when he wants human food or wet food because he has no interest in dry food. Which is like he has 2 days a week. Is it 2 or 3 days a week that he has to have dry food? And we completely ignore him. We're just like, your food is right there. He'll come and cry, meow, meow, meow. Your food, do you want me to take you where your food is? No, he's there. So yeah, we don't give him to him. And that's it really. Yeah. Um that's all. That's all. Yeah. I've learned to deal with everything. I think it's given me a sense of understanding and be more empathetic as well of other animals, creatures other than human beings.
Yeah, I think for me as well, the hair. The funny part is, yeah, when I got like part of the reason why I chose her breed was I was like, okay, it's not a lot of hair. So in my mind, because obviously I didn't do that much research, but in my mind, I was like, okay, she got a thin coat. That means she's not really gonna shed. Like I don't really have to deal with much hair. Boy, was I wrong. This dog sheds. There's hair everywhere, and I hate it. Like, especially when it's on clothes, I'm like, no, I'm always like, how can I get rid of this hair? How can I get rid of this hair? So yeah, that's just like a constant battle for me. And also because, well, I was saying that she's quite anxious, especially around other dogs. So whenever we go to the vets and another dog comes in, at first she'll be all right, and then after that she starts getting on edge a bit, and then eventually she starts barking, and that for me gets so anxiety provoking because I'm trying everything to calm her down and she ain't calming down. I'm getting overstimulated, and then eventually I just take her outside and I'm like, okay, when you're gonna call her, just shout at me because I can't do this. It's a lot. It's like you're almost having a crying baby that won't stop, and you're out in public and you're like, what can I do? Yeah, it's too much for me. So yes, again, I'm really just trying to see what I can do to socialize her a bit better because it's a lot. And I think with me as well, like whenever I'm gonna feed her something, I'm always checking first now. Are dogs allowed this? Can she have this? Can that be safe? Because I don't want to. Them vet bills are not cute. I don't want any.
They're really not.
They're not.
Honestly, hey, Yeah.
And then it's like with her breed as well, they're quite prone to like allergies and stuff like that. So really stop. Yeah, they're quite prone to allergies and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, it's a lot. It can be very overstimulating, but at the same time, I'm glad I got her. Like Anna said, I'm really glad I got her. You know, she is my little baby, keeps me company. It's just me and her in the flat. So it's nice. And she's very clingy. Like wherever I go, the minute I get up, she's right there next to me, like literally my handbag. And it's just so cute. Like just having somebody follow you around that just loves you so much. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
What about you, Niquelle?
Yeah, I'd say my cat is very similar. She prefers one-to-one attention. So even now, like so my dad says says it in like this high-pitched noise, and it doesn't matter where she is, she will come running from even outside for that call. And
Oh,
she is quite like attentive and quite like loving in her nature. So she will like twirl around your legs if you're sitting somewhere and you're eating something on your plate. She'll be like paws up looking at you like, hello, where's mine? Because she obviously eats the human food and we don't give into that. But she's like, you be cooking in the kitchen, she is outside, you will see her in the window and she will be meowing constant non-stop until you will let her in, and she will literally even balance on the handle of the door like, hello, open. Like, you know, those kind of, when she's demanding something, she's not going to let up for those moments. And I find that is quite funny for an animal. But also just, I realize I'm quite a softie and a pushover for this animal. Like,
oh,
I'll put food there and like, nope, she doesn't want dry food. Oh, she needs it soaked first? Okay, we'll soak it. Okay, she needs human food. Okay, we'll change it.
oh,
Like, we've bought so many different brands, so many different types of food because she's just like, I don't want that. And she's quite stubborn. So like, she's not gonna eat the thing that's there. She will strike and she will protest and she will rather starve than get her way. Like, she will get her way. And like, that has been quite high demand and also quite pricey because
yeah.
so that's been quite a demand. But yeah, overall I think she's still quite an affectionate animal. She is a long hair, so her hair is also does do the shed stuff, but less so actually since she's gotten older, which is quite interesting. Maybe because she doesn't get into any like stupid fights or anything like that anymore. But generally speaking, we've got the lint remover routine as part of our routine. So she doesn't tend to go into like the bedrooms anyway. So doesn't tend to get on like our clothes and stuff. It's just you find it when you're hoovering and doing all of that. We've never had carpet as a result of having cats, just because the hair thing is just too wild otherwise. But yeah,
Wow.
I like the padding and the purring version of her, and now she's in maternal mode. Is like the softest version of the cat I ever get. My dad called her
Oh,
when he came in during this meeting, and she's not gone downstairs because she rather like be purring in the corner in my corner where she's at. So I love her when she's
cute.
like, yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
super
What about you,
cute.
Jill?
How about you, Jules?
I think for me, something that so I didn't realize, I think as of recently, I have noticed and become aware of like how kind of like, sensitive I can be with like noises and smells and stuff like that. And with Daisy, she's not really much of a big barker of a dog unless she hears something outside or is alerted to something or the doorbell goes. When the doorbell goes, because I have a buzzer, and so I have to turn the buzzer off. If I know that I'm not getting any deliveries, to turn the buzzer off. Because sometimes people will just buzz on my door and that just literally gets her going. And she sounds like a completely different dog. So much so like the high pitchedness of her bark kind of sets me off. It kind of just like, it like tightens my chest a little bit. So I'm even kind of like, yeah, no, I know that I need to turn the buzzer off because that will set you off. And she's kind of like really good as well, because when there's a strange noise that's not kind of like, because you hear the foundation of like places that you live in, so you know that that's normal. But when it's a noise that she's like, hold on, wait a minute, that also alerts me. So I find that very helpful, because she'll pick up on something that she hasn't heard before. And then I will kind of like be alert as well. Like, okay, where did that come from? Or what's that noise? So she's kind of been helpful with that. Something that really used to bug me, because she's so small, and sometimes I wouldn't hear her coming because she would just like walk really, I've stepped on her by accident, and she'll literally scream at me like, and I'm like, oh my God, why are you there? Like, you caused this on yourself. Why are you there? But at the same time, I'm kind of like,
You're
I'm
in
so
my
sorry.
way.
Like, you're literally in my way. I literally have to go, Daisy, bed. Like, to tell her to go to her bed. You don't have, I'm okay here. You don't have to be here, you know? And then she'll look at me. She'll kind of walk. And then she'll look back to say, you sure I need to go to my bed? And I'm like, Daisy, back. And then she'll walk a little bit more. Then she'll look back. Are you sure I need to go? If you don't, and I have to like chase her to like, run to her bed so her to know like she needs to be in her bed because you can't be in my way. So I find a lot of time I'm not able to do certain things, or like if I'm going to be in a certain place for some time, I have to make sure I have like her bed set up where she can, or if I'm working from home and I'm at my desk, she wants to be there. So I'm like, oh, I've got to get her living room bed and put it in the second room so she can sit comfortably so she can watch me because she just want to watch me.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I have to do to pay the bills so you can live an enjoyable life. I guess we're working together then. But yeah, no, it like there are bits where it does feel like, yeah, it can be overwhelming. But again, I feel like I can't change it for the world because it feels like it's part and parcel. Because even sometimes I think she has enough of me sometimes. And this is where I think that she also has ADHD, because where it's like she feels overstimulated. My dog, we'll be in the living room watching TV together. She'll just jump off of my lap and just go to the room where her bed is. She's like, I've had enough. Yeah, what you're watching it's not a bit of me. So she'll just go to her bed, and I'm like, this dog has been gone for like 20 minutes. I go and see, she's just lying in her bed. It's like, yeah, I just need a bit of time to myself. So I know that when she needs the time to herself, she'll go by herself and stuff like that. So it's not like she can be clingy, but like not super clingy, because at some point she'll be just like, yeah, I know this is my time to be alone, so leave me alone and stuff. And when she comes back, she'll come and look and she'll be like, oh, okay. And then even when we've recorded sometimes, because I'll be on for so long and I've not given her attention, like I'll be on a call with someone and I'll be like, okay, lovely speaking to you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Why would my dog just pay a pet? Oh, finally, you finish your phone conversation. It's like to alert me like, oh, you're done now. Okay, cool. Thanks. So yeah, it's just kind of just like picking up little things that, even though it can be sometimes like, oh, it's a lot, but the lovable moments kind of like really overcompensate and kind of just like take away from like, oh, you know, stop following me, girl, all the time sort of energy.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. It's been such an interesting talk today. I've learned so many new things. You know, from having a guideline for people, because like when I go on holidays, I do have people that I don't think I've given them enough instructions, and they will call me like, "Oh my goodness, what to do in this situation or that situation." So, Jules, having a written guideline where everything's there and you don't miss anything is absolutely amazing. Also, what Niquelle talked about in terms of the cats and their emotions, and like um when your cat, for example, is expecting a litter, like how emotional it gets and how, nice and clingy and all of that it gets. It's really, really nice to know, because I've got a boy cat, so I don't know what it's like to have a girl cat. I don't know, what have you guys found interesting in this conversation? How about you, Fallon?
Yeah, definitely got some tips to take away. So I like the idea of implementing somebody that can help. So whether, like a dog walker, just to kind of help me and help Mooney with that structure and that routine that we can kind of both stick to. So I think that's really helpful. And definitely the guide. Because what I realized as well is, like, even for me as a dog owner, there was things that I didn't know before having a dog. So of course, like, if you're leaving your dog with somebody that may not necessarily have a dog, or even if they do, people have different ways of doing things. So just to have that guide that they can just have there to go through, just to kind of know. And when you're on holiday, you don't necessarily want someone calling you every second to ask you questions anyway. So I think, that's a really good idea. I never thought about that before. So I'll definitely be taking that one away. So yeah, definitely. Thank you,
I would also say as well, with like the guides, because I know sometimes it can feel overwhelming to just immediately like, I've got to write things up. I literally was just putting things in as and when, and so eventually kind of built the guides and had enough information to kind of just like make sure, okay, this is a solid bit of information to kind of just like put together for everyone. And again, knowing my ADHD brain, it was just kind of like, I knew that trying to do a guide in one sitting, the procrastination would be like, absolutely not. So the advice I would say is slowly build it and slowly kind of like put stuff in. I even started off with like, the one thing I know, her vet practice number and information, that needs to go in the guide. Let me put that in there. Those kind of things. But yeah, I would say like to not overwhelm yourself is doing it slowly and building it rather than having it like 8 pages deep from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely.
First thing I'll be putting, no chocolate milk.
That one too.
Make sure not to give it.
Absolutely no chocolate milk for sure.
And write something like, "You will murder my dog."
My dog, literally. But yeah, but it was again, like I was saying, like even before I got a dog, I didn't even know that was a thing that you don't give dogs chocolate. It was through getting one and doing my research. That's when I realized. So I get it,
That's
but yeah, that needs to.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Niquelle?
I think my takeaways, one is I do not want a dog. That sounded like stress. That is too much for me. Absolutely not. And I've definitely made the right choice in cats. But also even in terms of cats, that they're lower maintenance, but there's still so much more research missing, and how much more like I could do to kind of help my dad support them if he is going to make those choices that are like not spading them and doing those kind of decisions where we're maybe less conventionally raising a cat because we're like Caribbean peoples and feeding them chicken bones. So just to make sure we're covering all of the bases. Yeah, my cat eats what she wants, but just, making sure we're having that longevity to make sure they have as long and as happy a life as possible, to keep doing that research and stay on top of that. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to share about what you have coming up, Niquelle?
Nothing urgent. June 9th, I think, is my first major thing. And I'll be doing a theatrical staging of the poem that I shared at ADHD Babes 5-year anniversary.
Amazing.
But yeah, I'll be sharing a more developed version of that. So if you're interested.
Amazing. Thank you.
For me, she picks her moments, doesn't she? Come here, come back to me.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the day in the life of a pet owner, like a dog owner for real.
Literally.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love that. I don't know if I should go to say so. So for listeners with ADHD who are thinking about getting a pet, what's one thing you wish you'd known before becoming a pet owner?
I'm trying to think because I feel like I knew quite a lot because I really researched
you did
a
your
lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I also think it's the autism thing as well. Like,
Yeah.
because of like just how heavily research based, I was
Yeah.
like, no, I need to make sure it's right. Even down to the point where my dog is hyperallergenic
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't shed. Because that was one thing that I was like, I don't want a pet that
amazing.
sheds.
Yes.
That was one of those
Amazing.
things.
Hyperallergenic. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I definitely think, and then also thinking about grooming. I think grooming is something that I would say, as much as it looks really pretty and nice that you want to groom your pets, sometimes I think, Niquelle, you was talking about it, like having to like dip your pet into water. Yeah, and I had to do that in the lockdown because I couldn't get a groomer, and I think I traumatized my dog. So every time I put the shower on, she runs away because she thinks that I'm about to bathe her, and I'm like, no, babes, I'm bathing myself, so you're good. You're good. And I actually take her to the groomers, and when I take her to the groomers, a lot of the time they're like, look, she's really great, she's really lovely. I'm like, when I try to bathe her in the house, she's scratching me up. I have to sit in the bath with her. So I think that's definitely one thing I would say. Just to kind of like, when it comes to grooming your pet, particularly dogs and dogs that have certain hairs and their furs or their hairs grow really fast, just kind of maintaining the grooming as and when. I know it can be expensive, but yeah, I think that was something I wish I knew, because I thought, I could do it myself. I just need some, some scissors and stuff. Girl, no.
My God, I could tell you some stories about me trying to Milo's nail. That was so traumatizing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. If you really don't know how to do it, definitely let the groomer.
Yeah. No, same with me. With the nail cutter, I accidentally cut and it bled. And I said,
yeah.
I said, so when I go to the groomers, I said, can you do her nails, please, as well, please? Because, I'm not about to do that again.
Yeah, no. Mine cried. He was so hurt. He was proper crying. For ages, like, and he wouldn't come anywhere near me for like a couple of days.
No.
He was like, no, what the hell's wrong with you? No way, hell no. Yeah, not doing that with me. And the thing is, I'd already done I did one leg and I was like, I got so confident. So when I tried to do the other leg, it was like, yeah, no, you messed up. You messed up. Thank you so much, Niquelle and Jules, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to chat and learn more about you both. You and your pets, obviously. Please will you let our listeners know where they can connect with you?
I'm on Instagram, X, everything under Niquelle L, NIQUELLE_L. And then you can find all of my kind of work and stuff on niquellelatouchearts.com. Thank you.
Amazing. And Jules?
So I'm going to do something a little bit different because I'm not really on like
You're not
social media like
supposed to.
that.
Yeah.
But I'll shout out my dog because my dog has an Instagram. So if you want to go follow her Instagram,
Yes.
go follow. Now, I haven't posted her for a while, but she's got some cute pictures on there. But you can follow her. Her Instagram handle is Daisy. So it's DAISEE. So it's double E instead of a Y. I think it's DA Morkie. So Morkie as in MORKIE. Because that's
Definitely
her
going to
breed.
follow Daisy. Yes.
Yeah.
Want to see what she's up to.
Yeah. So she's currently here chilling. So yeah.
Do you know what? I absolutely love her. She's so gorgeous.
Daisy just chilling.
She's gorgeous. Every time I see her, I'm just like,
Yeah.
Oh,
She a white little fang.
yeah.
cute. Oh, yeah, so Mooney will definitely be following her from Mooney's Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. And I wanted to add earlier when you was asking me if anything coming up. So on the 28th of March, I'm actually going to be having an event where I'll be talking about ADHD and tools and tips. Might do a little workshop as well. It'll be
Amazing.
me and 3 other ladies. So one is a personal stylist, one is a cook, and one she's a midwife. So she'll be having like a motherhood panel. So yeah, so that'll be 28th of March. It'll be in Thamesmead. And yeah, if you want to know more, you can find me on Instagram at Fall's Nails. So that's FALS NELS. So Fall's Nails. Yeah. And
Brilliant.
hopefully
Thank
you
you.
can make it.
Amazing.
Okay. Amazing. And you as well, Anna, do you have anything coming up at all that you want to share?
Oh my goodness, you know what? The only thing that I've got coming up is my daughter's birthday on the 28th of March, which obviously none of you are invited to.
Well, thanks.
Because it's a quinceañera, it's a 15th birthday party we do. It's a very Latin American tradition we do to our girls when they turn 15. And yeah, that's got me super, super, super busy. I can't even think of anything else apart from that. So yeah, it's exciting. But if you want to know about me, my Instagram is Family Sura, and I'm Anna Ramos on Facebook and also Anna Ramos on LinkedIn. And I can't remember my TikTok, by the way. I don't think I use TikTok that much. So yeah, you don't need to find me on TikTok.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you found a sense of home here at ADHD Babes, do consider supporting us. That could mean signing up as a member, donating, or even just sharing this podcast with your people. Every bit helps us keep doing this beautiful work.
Please join the conversation on our Discord or WhatsApp group for members. Follow us on socials. We now have our own Insta page for the podcast, which is ADHDbabes.pod, as well as ADHD Babes. Subscribe to a YouTube for the video version of this podcast. And most importantly, stay connected. We're building this together. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. If you're a Black woman or non-binary person and need help and support in managing your ADHD or advice on diagnosis, please visit ADHDbabes.com. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. Join us in 2 weeks for a new episode. Until then, all the love from the ADHD Babes team.
Just as I am, can you take me just as I am?